I am Emily, and I have been married to my husband Jake for 40 years. In our 60s, Jake and I are still as happily married as ever. We have been through so much together, and every challenge we faced only strengthened our bond. Our love has weathered the test of time, and it's a beautiful feeling to wake up every day knowing that we have each other by our side. I must say, we were quite the ideal couple. We had a lot of success with our family business, and our children all grew up to be beautiful, intelligent, and kind hearted people. One of our sons took over the business a few years ago, so now all Jake and I do was relax. We went on countless adventures, exploring new places and experiencing new things. We love hiking on the mountains with each other. In our 60s, we have also learned to embrace change and adapt to the evolving world around us. Technology has advanced, and we learn to navigate smartphones and social media together, laughing at our fumbles and celebrating our victories. Still, I have to admit that we still appear very clumsy from time to time. That day, we wanted to celebrate Jake's birthday in the mountains. We had already had a fancy dinner with our children and grandchildren, so we just want to spend time alone with each other. Unfortunately, we were really bad with the navigation app on our phones. We weren't sure how to use them, so it took us a lot of time to find our way. By the time we managed to get back on track, we were both tired. So Jake and I decided to be spontaneous and stop by the closest restaurant instead of heading straight to the hotel that I had booked. The nice thing about that region was that it was touristy in the best ways. There weren't a lot of places, but all of them were really nicely built. After all, it's a region where many wealthier people go on hikes and enjoy the secluded atmosphere. The restaurant that we saw was located quite high up, and you could see a picturesque lake from the restaurant. It was perfect, and we loved the idea of having our birthday dinner there. However, things didn't go as smoothly as we hoped. When we arrived dressed casually in t-shirts, jeans, and sneakers, the hostess completely ignored us. The staff were exchanging looks and whispered about us, making us feel self-conscious about our attire. But to be honest, what did these people expect hikers to wear? I looked around and saw that everyone else in the restaurant was in fancy clothes. They probably came with a cab service. There was such an option for us too, but Jake and I had decided to walk and enjoy nature. I thought about leaving, but at that point, both Jake and I were quite tired from the hike. I didn't want to risk it considering the fact that we were not as young and strong as we used to be. Jake seemed to immediately read my mind.
Don't worry, let's just ask for a table. We deserve to be here as much as anyone else.
Despite the uncomfortable atmosphere, Jake confidently led me to the hostess desk to inquire about a table for two. But the hostess was downright rude and snobbish. She made it clear that this luxurious place was not for us. "Can I help you?"
Could we have a table for two, please?
"This is a high-end establishment, and I'm afraid we can't accommodate you here." Excuse me? We're just looking for a table for two. Is that too much to ask for?" "I'm afraid it is. This restaurant caters to a certain clientele, and you two don't exactly fit the bill."
That's not fair. We deserve to be treated with respect, just like any other guest.
"Look, this isn't a charity event. We don't need people like you ruining the ambience for our other guests. You should leave before you cause any further disturbance." Jake, maybe we should just go. I don't want to be somewhere we're not wanted."
No, Emily, we have every right to be here.
"Right. Like you can afford anything in this place. You're wasting your time here. The sooner you leave, the better." "Jake, it's okay. Let's not ruin our night over this."
No, I won't let them get away with this. It's not just about us, it's about standing up against discrimination.
"Oh, please. Spare me the lecture. You poor lonely old people should just stop wasting my time." That was when we both backed off. I could see the hurt in Jake's eyes, but I also saw the determination and strength in him. He was not one to back down from a fight, especially when it involved standing up for what he believed in. I admired him for that. Suddenly there was a spark in his eyes as if he had come up with something. He had seen where the kitchen was and walked straight in there to talk to the manager. I couldn't help but feel a mix of worry and excitement. I followed closely behind, knowing that when Jake got an idea, there was no stopping him. The hostess tried to call for us, but she was drawing attention to herself in a quiet, fine dining atmosphere, so she stopped. In the corner of my eyes, I could see her roll her eyes and shake her head as if she was disgusted with us. We found the manager, a stern-looking man in a crisp suit, barking orders at the kitchen staff.
Excuse me, sir. I need to talk to you about the way your hostess treated us at the front desk.
The manager barely spared us a glance, his face contorted in annoyance.
And who are you? I'm a paying customer, just like everyone else in the establishment, yet your hostess treated us like we were beneath us. We deserve to be treated with respect, regardless of our appearance or social status.
The manager scoffed, dismissing Jake's words with a wave of his hand.
Look, we have a certain image to maintain here. We can't have just anyone walking in and ruining the atmosphere for our esteemed guests. But that's exactly the problem. Your esteemed guests shouldn't be judged based on their appearance, and neither should we. We all deserve to be treated with dignity and respect.
At that moment, the hostess appeared from behind, a smug grin on her face. Oh, it's you again. Didn't I tell you to leave? We don't need your kind here.
Your kind, my kind, we're all human beings, and we all deserve to be treated fairly.
The manager's expression darkened, and before we knew it, he was raising his voice.
Enough of this nonsense. Get out of my kitchen and out of my restaurant. No, I won't leave until I see a change in your attitude and the way you treat your guests. You may think you're above us, but you're not above common decency.
Suddenly, the manager's anger boiled over, and he lunged towards Jake, grabbing him by the collar of his shirt.
I have had enough of your insolence. Get out, or I'll have you thrown out.
I rushed to Jake's side, trying to pull the manager away, but his grip was too strong. I could see the fire in Jake's eyes, a mix of anger and determination. The kitchen staff looked on, unsure of what to do. The tension in the room was palpable, and I feared the situation might escalate even further. The manager pulled Jake out of the kitchen and only stopped when he realized everyone else was looking. He gave Jake and me a disgusted look and then turned back inside. I quickly turned to check if Jake was okay, and luckily he was fine. Still, we were in shock. We couldn't believe that something like that just happened. The scene could have got violent if it was not for the guests dining outside. Jake and I slowly left the restaurant feeling really violated. Just when we thought things were only getting worse and worse, we were approached by someone. A kind voice called out to us from behind. Hey, wait up. Turning around, we saw a young woman running towards us with a warm smile. I couldn't help but overhear what happened in there. I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Young lady, thank you.
My name is Vera, and I'm a frequent guest at the hotel. I'm honestly appalled by the manager's behavior. He has always been so nice to me and my family. Well, I guess they are selective about when and who to be kind to. I can't believe he treated you like that. You deserve better, and you shouldn't be discouraged from enjoying this beautiful city just because of one rude person.
Thank you for that, dear.
I actually live nearby. If you need a ride to your hotel or anywhere else, I would be more than happy to help. Her offer warmed our hearts, and we gladly accepted. As we rode in Vera's car, her kind-hearted nature really won us over. I'm sorry, I didn't understand what was going on sooner to intervene back there, but if you ever want to file a complaint or share your story, here's the contact information of the restaurant owner. She handed us a small card with the owner's name and contact details. Vera's kindness and empathy reaffirmed our belief that there were good people in the world, people who were willing to stand up for what was right. As we arrived at our hotel, we exchanged contact information with Vera, promising to keep in touch. She had become not just a kind stranger, but a friend, a reminder that acts of kindness could have a profound impact on someone's life. Despite the unpleasant incident at the restaurant on Jake's birthday, we were determined not to let it ruin our special night. As we returned to our hotel room, we put on some music, and Jake, always the goofy one, started dancing around the room, trying to lift our spirits. I couldn't help but laugh at his antics, feeling grateful for his ability to find lightness even in challenging moments. As the night progressed, we snuggled up on the balcony, gazing at the stars above. The night might not have turned out as we initially envisioned, but in many ways it had become even more meaningful. It reminded us of the strength of our love and the importance of standing up for what we believed in. Over the next few days, we took some time to process the events of that night. We decided to reach out to the restaurant owner, but as we went back to the contact details of the owner, we realized we had always known this man personally. Vera's handwriting read Mr. Shelley, but when we typed down his number on our phones, a familiar name popped up in the contact list. Mario Shelley, one of our friends from college. And so we gave Mario a call. It was really nice catching up with an old friend so much so that we almost forgot to mention the incident a few nights before. Just when we were about to bring it up, Mario revealed to us that he was looking to sell the restaurant so that he could move overseas with the rest of his family. Jake and I looked at each other. We had always talked about owning a hotel or restaurant in the mountains just so we had a place to call our second home every time we felt like hiking. Still, the perfect opportunity never came. We expressed our interest and Mario was overjoyed to hear that we might consider buying it. Of course, we needed a lot of time to think. It seemed like fate had presented us with the perfect opportunity to fulfill our dream of owning a place in the mountains. But we also knew it was a huge responsibility and a significant life change. As we weighed the pros and cons, we decided to discuss the idea with our youngest son, Chris. He had just finished his master's degree at the time and he had always had an eye for creating delightful dishes. We knew he had the potential to take the restaurant to new heights. The more we talked about it, the more excited we became. The idea of spending our retirement years in the mountains and running a restaurant together as a family felt like a beautiful way to start a new chapter in our lives. Finally, we made up our minds. We called Mario and told him we were interested in taking over the restaurant. He was thrilled and assured us that he would be there to guide us through the transition and share all the tricks of the trade. The day had finally come for the official handover of the restaurant. Mario had graciously offered to accompany Jake and me to the establishment, and we were filled with a mix of excitement and anticipation. As we entered the restaurant, memories of that unfortunate night flashed in my mind, but I pushed them aside, focusing on the new beginning that lay ahead. To our surprise, the atmosphere felt different right from the start. The manager, who had been so rude and dismissive before, greeted us with a smile. He shook our hands warmly, expressing his excitement about the transition.
I'm thrilled that the restaurant would be in such capable hands. I have heard wonderful things about your plans, and I'm confident it will continue to thrive under your ownership.
Jake looked at him for a moment, absorbing the change in demeanor.
Thank you, but I must be honest, I have some reservations about your future in this restaurant. Oh, I assure you, I'm fully committed to supporting the new owners and ensuring a smooth transition. I'm sorry, but your behavior towards us and the other guests was unacceptable. We believe in creating an inclusive and respectful environment for everyone who walks through these doors. I'm sorry if our staff might come across that way, but I assure you I have always been very polite to prestigious guests like you.
Are you sure?
Absolutely, but our staff could be quite stressed on some nights. You know how a busy restaurant might get. Do you remember us at all? Excuse me, I'm not sure
We were the hiker couple you treated so rudely. Your behavior was hurtful and discriminatory, and it's not the kind of attitude we want in this restaurant. The manager's face paled and he looked stunned. He stammered, clearly realizing the gravity of his actions.
I'm truly sorry for how I treated you. It was completely unacceptable, and I deeply regret my behavior.
We all kept quiet to such an insincere apology. The manager seemed to sink into himself, realizing the consequences of his actions. Then he looked to Mario, as if to ask for help. Mario just gave him a disappointing look. Slowly, the manager walked out of the restaurant, mumbling words I couldn't quite make clear. The next few days brought significant changes to the restaurant. With a renewed focus on creating a welcoming atmosphere, we found new staff members who shared our values and were committed to providing the best experience for our guests. And just as Jake had done, the hostess who had treated us poorly was also let go. We wanted to ensure that every person who worked in the restaurant understood the importance of treating others with kindness. With a fresh start, the restaurant thrived under our ownership. Over time, we became known not just for our delicious food, but for the warm and inviting atmosphere we created. The restaurant became a gathering place for locals and tourists alike, a place where everyone felt welcome and valued. Chris became the head chef, and his culinary creations brought a fresh and innovative twist to the restaurant's menu. Our guests raved about his dishes, and his passion for cooking shone through in every bite. One sunny afternoon, as the restaurant bustled with guests, a familiar face caught Chris's eye. It was Vera, the kind stranger who had stood up for us on that unforgettable night months ago. Her warm smile and radiant presence lit up the room, and Chris couldn't help but feel drawn to her. They got to know each other and got along incredibly well. As days turned into weeks, Chris and Vera's connection deepened. They spent hours together exploring the mountains, sharing stories, and supporting each other's dreams. Their love blossomed like wildflowers in spring, pure, vibrant, and full of life. Their love story became an integral part of the restaurant, filling it with even more joy and love. In the end, I realized that even in the worst moments, there are always glimmers of hope. If we choose kindness and determination, good things will always happen to us.